And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Taneytown Athletic Association meeting for January 15th, 2025. So let me start off by saying Happy New Year to all of you. Wishing you happiness in 2025, not only for you guys, but of course for your leagues. So with that, we're just going to jump into our association reports. So many of you know the drill, so whoever wants to go first.
Jump right on it.
Also, before we start on association reports, if we're going to have a conversation or if anybody has any additional questions in the midst of the meeting, we're asking you to come forward to the mic instead of talking amongst yourself or talking directly to Lorena, because everybody. All right, go ahead.
Hi there. I'm going to start with softball. Softball registrations are open. The last I looked, there was about 30 girls already registered. They worked on schedules when the games would start last night, but I imagine practices will start mid-March. Cheerleading, West Carroll Rebels Extreme. We are just getting ready to start comp season. We have 2 winter teams. Our first comp will be in Ocean City. As Lorena knows, we're still struggling with space. The high school is very full. We get Sunday mornings. We are renting space in Hanover in 2 weeks to try to give them an extra practice because we got kicked out for a wrestling match. The little girls, the smaller team, they can still practice at the community room. Community room's nice, but it doesn't hold all 9 mats, so that the only place they can get 9 mats is at the high school gym. So that's where we are.
You said you're renting space. How much are you renting per?
We rented the SJC. They have mats there and a spring floor. It's going to be $100 every time we go.
Ouchie. Okay. So lots of
Cost-
fundraising.
Yeah, cost that we didn't figure into registration, but definitely has to be paid, so.
Oh, okay. All
Does
right.
anybody have any questions? You're free. All right.
Thank you. Thank you
Next
for coming
victim.
in.
Who wants to, next league rep.
All right, for soccer, we have registration open. It's running through the end of February. We currently have 146 players registered. 104 of them are our in-house program, 42 are in the URSL program. Our season will be starting the mid to end of March.
Could you repeat that last part? That microphone is. No, it's the microphone. You can be talking into it. I will hear exactly half of the sentence, and it will go away. So,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to be a pain in the butt, but that's.
All right, so you want me to go the whole thing again, or just what part did you miss?
Just the last.
Okay, our season's starting the mid to end of March. Our in-house numbers are 104, and the URSL numbers are 42.
Lots of fundraising going on for you guys, or?
We're like kind of on our break right now, and we're getting ready
Okay.
to start. I think we're gonna try to do a dine out starting in April. So.
Difference between the
There-
microphones.
there
When you
is.
moved over to that one, you could hear them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for soccer before we? Okay,
No, we got it cleared up. Thank you.
okay.
Thank you,
Next.
Kyle. Okay.
Okay, for baseball, I don't have much. Registration is open, ends on January 31st. We still do have openings at all age levels. Opening day will be April 5th. Practices will start before that, but that will be the official start date.
Thank you. Not least.
We don't really have much. Registrations will open March 1st.
Well, first of all, tell us who you
Oh,
are.
football.
I am
and-
Sarah
and what-
Rill.
And
I will be the new business manager for FSK Junior Eagles football. We have lots of new board members, so we're all kind of learning how each other works, and we're throwing around fundraising ideas and trying to lower the cost of our registration the best we can, because I know that kind of was a sore subject last season. So we're throwing around a lot of ideas there.
Well, I have a question, I guess for all of them. I know you guys do like scholarships, if you will, for registrations. And I know some do like an exchange, like you got a reduced registration fee or a comped registration fee for a certain number of volunteer hours, like parents helping out the snack shack, or whatever, that kind of stuff. Do you still do it, that way, and do you put a limit on it? And this is just a curiosity question. What happens if they don't fulfill the volunteer hours that they're supposed to do to get that discounted rate?
That we do 2. And yes, the parents are required to do 4 hours of volunteering, I believe. Yeah, it's not terrible. If they don't complete it, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know that we haven't had a parent complete it. Not since I've been in the program. I've been there for about 3 years, so.
Not like you can report them to, a collection agency or anything, at that point. I mean, it's already kind of a done deal.
that is the hardest problem. You don't want to do that to the children, right? If the parents can't follow through. So that does make it hard, but you also need to run your league too, so. Any other
Oh, I'm
questions?
sorry. I
Oh,
do
that's
have-
right, yep.
Yes, I'm sorry. I have,
Oh, she does
thank
have
you,
2.
Sarah.
Yep.
I have field hockey's report. Registration will open in late March, early April. All board positions are filled except for field maintenance, and they could use some coaches for clinic, 3, 4, and 5, 6 age groups. So they're looking for those. And I also have a report for lacrosse. Their registration closes January 31st, many others as well. Their season begins March 1st. They're going to have 4 girls teams, 3 boys teams, so they're growing with the boys teams. That's good. Last year they had 1 boys team, so 3 this year. Currently they have 67 registered. They're hoping to have a few more to come in to top off the teams. Their Try It clinic in December was a huge success. They had over 40 kids come out. They would like to and plan to use the football field and practice field again this year. Their updated agreement was sent to football for approval, so apparently they have a written agreement between the two of them. Their previous league, WMYLC, has agreed to allow their fall ball league, Western Maryland Lacrosse, to assume responsibility for their spring rec lacrosse season, and WMYLC will cease operations. Their new president of Western Maryland Lacrosse is Dr. George Grillian, who previously ran FSK Junior Eagles Lacrosse with his wife. They see that as a huge plus for their teams. Dr. Grillian's goal is to continue to grow the game to provide this opportunity for the next generation. They're excited to say that they're going to have a new logo and new uniforms to help show a difference between lacrosse and field hockey this year.
Awesome updates.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, we got into all reports. I'll throw it back to you, Lorena, if you want to go over just talking about Memorial Park expansion project, and then we'll go on to the fiscal year.
Got it. Well, I wish I had better news about the Memorial Park project, but as you all know, we've been hitting this roadblock, pun intended, with SHA, with State Highway, with that connector road that we need off of Frederick Street. So recently, Daryl Hale, our zoning director, put together a meeting with the adjacent property owners, the Renahans, and we discussed obtaining an easement across their property so that we could facilitate installation of stormwater piping from that road, from the little streamlet that comes off the church property, down their property and then out to the outflow. So they agreed, which was great. So we're going to get those documents together to record that easement, and then hopefully State Highway, after all of this, will approve the project so that we can then move forward. We do need to get a permit from MDE because of the little streamlet. We've got to put in, of course, a big drainage pipe for the road to go across it, over it, and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to jinx it, but I worked with them on Bollinger for those 2 boardwalks out there, and they were very easy to work with. So it's just jumping through the hoops of, public notice for the permit and this, that, and the other, whatever. And then we still need to get county forest conservation approval. So those are the 3 things that are sticking out right now: State Highway, MDE, and then forest conservation. And it's all hinging on those. So once we get those, then we can move forward. I don't have a timeline at this point. I'm disappointed to say. We kept hoping that, we were hoping that everything would have been finished by now, but of course I'll continue to keep you all apprised. I'll let you know as soon as we have that SHA approval, so that we can get that project off the ground finally. It's a process, yeah. Yeah. Oh, do you want to just come up and use that mic? That way it's recorded. Yeah.
Could you give your best date and your worst date? I'm getting a lot of questions. That's why I'm asking.
That's okay. So best case scenario for a date. This summer, maybe. Again, if we get these approvals pretty quickly, we record the easements for floodplain and forest conservation, then we can put the RFP out. That has to be out for a month. And then the contract awarded.
How long do you think construction will take for that?
Depending on the weather, 5 months, 4 or 5 months, maybe. Definitely going to have to do a lot of grading out there, obviously, because how it slopes in the hills. So to get all of those areas level, completely level for playing fields and all of that. That's the majority of it. The grading, the asphalt work, the sidewalk, concrete sidewalk, and the lighting, landscaping. And then Morton Buildings, as you know, is just, they're gonna do the building themselves separately. We don't have to put that out for our, we've already contracted with them. And they're ready to go. They're ready to, you know, start up whenever we give them the word. So there's not gonna be any delay on that end. So,
Not going to give a worse date yet.
no, I really don't want to.
Let's try for
choose-
the best date.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And see what happens, but,
Yeah, yeah. Again, I apologize. I wish I had better news on it. But if only State Highway, if they had gone ahead and signed off before they switched consultants on us, we would have already
Yeah, we
been under
would've.
construction by
yeah.
now.
Well, you would have been putting bid, yeah. All right. And then we're going to talk about fiscal year 2026 budget, right? Welcome to 2025. We're going to talk about 2026 with requests and the need for financial statements.
Right. So I've received everyone's financials and their requests, so that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to be working on the budget this month. We just got our budget worksheets distributed to us today. And as soon as I know how much we're going to need for the general park needs, improvements, projects, things like that, then I'll know what pool of money we're going to have for you guys. And then I'll take that, and then based on the methodology that we all agreed upon, it'll be allocated that way. And then I'm going to send that breakout to you all. Depending on how much is allocated, I may have to come back to you all and ask what your priorities are in those requests that you gave me. One or two, or, you know, whatever. We'll work together on that so that we can at least take care of the most important requests, most important priorities.
Okay. And then MOUs?
Yep, I've got
renewals.
everybody's MOUs. Thank you all for returning this to me. I'm waiting for the mayor's signature, and then I'll get those back to you for your records. I know he's been out, he's been ill. It's going around. Everybody's got something. So as soon as he is able to get back in and get those signed, then I'll get them to you. So that's all.
All right, so that was old business. New business, I would assume that you've already sent out the event schedule to everybody too, so.
I've got printed copies over there. The writing is so small, we're probably gonna need a magnifying glass to see it, but I'm also gonna email it to all of you so that you can zoom in or whatever. I know Christine with baseball asked for event dates so they could, you know, the blackout dates so they don't have games or practices on those dates, and I emailed those to her. That's not really gonna affect you guys except for the area at Memorial where you're using, you know, on the other side of the tennis courts. Okay, all right. Then it shouldn't be. Yeah, it should be okay. Yeah. But I'll send that out, and just a reminder, yeah, just please don't schedule games or practices on those event days because it's just mayhem.
Got it.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And I
we
included
appreciate
the
it.
bulk trash day on the as well. That's May 3rd this year. That's really crazy when that happens. A lot of people going in and out of the park, yeah, that day.
Event schedules with you. Any comments from the board? Okay. Any additional comments from members of the Athletic Association? Braving the cold to get here and give us your
Yes.
updates and all of that. We appreciate it. Our next meeting date is going to be March 12th, 6:30, right here. And hopefully it'll be a little bit warmer.
Hope so, yeah.
So with that, we are good. Thank you again for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank
And we
you
will
all.
see you in March.
Nice to meet you again, Sarah.
Now we're switching gears. All right. Everybody ready? Welcome to our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting for January 15th. Please note that all members, except for Mackenzie, is not feeling well, correct? Okay. And everybody did receive a copy of the minutes from November 13th, 2024. Did everybody get a chance to read those over?
Yep.
Okay, with that, I will take a motion to approve.
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
Do I have a second? All right, and is there any comments, questions, changes? All right, so with all of that, all in favor of approving the minutes from November 13th, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're good with that. All right, so we're just going to jump in. So January starts our wonderful year, right, with the election of secretary for our board. But I do believe, right? Did you have a conversation?
Yes.
Okay.
Even though Mackenzie can't be here tonight because she's sick, I did ask her if she was nominated, if she would be willing to accept it and continue serving as secretary, and she said yes, she would be. Okay. And we can hold the election even with her absent because she has conveyed her willingness to accept a nomination.
Okay. So then I will open the floor for any nominations for secretary. Come on. All right, I have a motion for Mackenzie to stay as secretary. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
All right, I have a second. All right, is there any other nominations out there? And no. Okay, so with that, those that want, all in favor of nominating Mackenzie Kilby to be our secretary for another year, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Been duly elected as secretary.
And yeah, congratulations again. Poor thing. She gets to do it for another year. But no, we appreciate her willingness to help us out. So, all right. So, do we need to go into, with unfinished business, do we need to go into more detail with the Memorial Park expansion project, or are we good with just where we are?
Right. I don't have any other details. I know Arrow's just been working hard with trying to get all of this sorted out, and so hopefully, like I said, we'll satisfy SHA with the stormwater flow, and I think that was their main concern, basically.
Okay.
That all
So
of
does
the other conditions.
SHA, once approved, then that goes to the county and then the whole project's approved, or they just
Well,
needed?
yeah, we need SHA's approval. We still need the forest conservation,
Okay.
county forest conservation approval. So once we get those two, and we get the waterways permit from MDE, then we're good to go. Our planning commission still has to approve it, but I think,
Of course.
I don't think that would
Right.
be an issue.
Okay.
But we're not gonna put that RFP out until we've recorded the easement deeds for floodplain and forest
Absolutely.
conservation, right? Just in case
Absolutely.
on any hiccups.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
So Lorena, is the forest conservation approval, is that like contingent on state highway, or is that completely
That's
separate?
completely separate.
Okay. Is there any like reason that is being hung up a little bit, or?
So, yeah, there were some landscaping notes that the county brought up, and there were questions of if we had enough replanting area, reforestation areas, because we're taking out, I don't know if y'all are familiar with that back part. There are some trees that were already planted there in the back, down near the woods and the stream, that we're gonna have to take out because we need that space for a field. So we have to plant trees elsewhere, and with maximizing every square inch on that property for playing fields and the building and parking and all that, it's just hard trying to find places.
Sections,
Right. We had considered planting some at the road frontage area of Bollinger, because we've got some room there. So I know Arrow and the county, they've been going back and forth on that kind of stuff, so.
Okay, that's good.
Yes, yeah, you can have a reforestation area elsewhere that's not on the
Okay.
exact site. Yes, if you have to. Developers, other people, have done that. That's how we got the trees out there along the road frontage at Bollinger already. They'll plant the trees somewhere off-site because
Yeah.
that way they can maximize their space.
Interesting, yeah, the thought process on that, but hey,
Yeah,
hey, whatever. I mean, if it sounds right,
Yeah.
throw it on another property. Yeah,
right,
works.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's on a one-for-one basis.
it is.
Having to plant 2 trees for one you take down,
Right,
Right,
it's one for one.
yeah, okay.
right.
So have we been able to like redraft plans for them, or is that still in the process?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our Arrows redrafted those and come up with some different things. So that kind of got pushed to the back burner while they started focusing on the SHA requirements, because right now that's the biggest hurdle.
Any additional questions for Lorena on the expansion project?
I guess just the other thing, if by summer we're able to start construction, probably likely to have usage ready probably by spring, I would
I
assume,
would hope
right?
so.
Because we
Yes.
probably run into kind of like cold weather again and all that.
Yeah, and it's going to take some time for the grass to get established on the fields, obviously. So I'm hoping that the timing works out so that the fields at least get completely overseeded and everything starts getting established before any kind of weather comes in that's going to prohibit the growth.
Okay. No additional questions then. Updates on general park improvements?
I really don't have any updates at this time because we're kind of in our dormant season, so to speak. I mean, the DPW guys are focused on what they need to do for winter. Obviously, we've got, snow removal and, all of that kind of good stuff that they're trying to do. They've got a couple of projects that are going on, the sewer line rehab that's going through Memorial Park and water line, so.
They've been a tad bit busy with other
They-
stuff.
They have been, yeah. And right now, we really don't have anything, major
Pressing.
pressing that they need to, that we need to take care of, so.
All right.
How's the, like vandalizing, has that been cut back?
Knock on wood, yeah, because I think the colder
Because
weather
it's
has.
cold.
Right, right, I know, now you've just jinxed
I
it.
jinxed
Not really, yeah,
Oh, boy.
no,
Yeah.
it's too cold for anybody to want
Yeah.
to go and do something bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Take a look at the cameras and, you see people go out to the parks and they're like, whatever. I mean, you still see people walking at Roberts Mill and a couple of hardy souls have gone out to Bollinger. Just to let you know, in case anyone asks, I mean, I've been asked about this, we don't clear the pathways or the trails. The pathway around Roberts Mill Pond, I mean, I guess technically they could get out there, but we don't want to create any damage, or anything like that. And the Bollinger Trail, I feel like that's just off limits with
too
the material that's made of. That
yeah,
is-
that's true, it would damage it.
right.
Yeah.
That porous pave rubber and it was pricey. Thank goodness for the grant funding, but we don't want to, so walkers, hikers, they're just going to have to wait until it melts. It melts off. But that's all I have
Alright.
on that.
Yeah, I have one small question. Are there plans for a small plaque for that
Train?
donated train?
For the train, yes,
Okay.
yeah. And Carroll Realtors Association had asked for that. They said, if we give you this, will you put up a plaque that was donated by us? And I said, yeah, we can do that. Yeah,
Okay. Because that's one of the things, when I asked them about it initially, I said, we could put a plaque on it or something, recognizing your donation.
yes.
coming this spring.
Right.
And we thought, yeah.
Yeah, I've been looking at different ones. I'd like to get one that can just screw onto
Yeah,
the train itself somewhere. Yeah. Rather than having it as a stake in the ground.
oh, no, just a,
Yeah,
donated by Carroll Realtors, our children or whatever.
yeah. Well, I don't know if we're gonna go into all of that detail. I don't know. Donated by Carroll Realtors Association.
All right.
Have on that.
Okay. Update on 2025 events. Oh, boy.
Great, so all of our major events have been scheduled and posted. We are receiving vendor registrations for the flea market and the wine festival, interest already in the harvest festival. That registration's not gonna open up until the 1st of July though, because that's in the next fiscal year, so we wanna keep those separate. The food vendors, we're lining those up for the events. We're all full on Independence Day. We're full on the flea market, still working on the wine festival, Family Fun Food Truck Friday, and I think we're about full on the harvest festival. We might be able to squeeze one, I don't know.
That's impressive.
Yes, yes it is, so that's good. Bands we're booked up on, of course, we're gonna have the Tribe for the wine festival, Hickory Wind for the harvest festival, and then I've been looking at a local band, 6 Days, DAZE, for the Independence Day celebration. I think we're just gonna do a DJ. So, and obviously we're gonna hold that this year since the project is,
Yeah.
still have
Yeah, it's not
access to an
gonna-
empty
yep.
field, yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. Still working on the recreational programs like tennis and yoga. I've got to put those, together with those instructors. And I'm waiting to hear back from Taneytown Men of Faith about the summer movies. Start advertising
Yeah.
those.
And our first event,
Easter egg hunt, April 12th.
yep.
Yeah, Easter's late this year, so, which could work in our favor. Maybe it'll be warmer.
Let's
A little
hope so.
bit, yeah. And I've already ordered all the eggs and everything, all of our supplies, so, because when you order in January, you get the early bird discount, so,
Yeah. Do we up any of the counts or no?
no.
Okay.
It's still 4,000 eggs.
4,000.
Just 4,000.
Yeah.
So that's 1,000 per each age group. That's pretty
Yeah.
good, I think.
Absolutely.
I think it's a good Easter egg hunt. You get cookies, you get juice, you get free raffle tickets for a basket, you get the egg hunt itself. Every egg
You
has a
can't go
toy or
wrong.
candy inside.
Yeah.
It's all good. Pictures from the
Nope,
Easter
good
bunny.
event. So look at your calendars and, see what you may be able to assist with this year. Of course, need everybody for the Wine Fest. That's an all-day event, so any help you can provide would be great. And I know Lorena would appreciate it. So, okay, so that's that. Any additional updates? No?
That's all I have for events.
All right, so we're just gonna, so under new business, we're just gonna do post-event discussions.
Oh, miscellaneous updates. I'm sorry. I thought you were asking me if
Oh,
there were any more updates on events.
Miscellaneous.
Sorry, yeah.
updates, Sorry.
So the Maryland Recreation and Parks Association Annual Conference is April 8th through the 10th. I think I emailed all of you about that. So far I have Mackenzie and Judy. Is anyone else interested? The registration is open. I know you said you were going to pass on it, Bill, this year to
Yes.
allow an opportunity.
I do recommend it for those who haven't gone to at least go to one. It's worth the time. If you can swing the time for the middle of the week programs, it's worth it.
So let me know.
I don't think I'll be able to make it.
You're not
but
gonna be able to make it? What about you, Emmanuel?
It might be tough, but I check my schedule, see what I can do in terms of time off and stuff like that.
All right, if you can make it, let me know as soon as you can, so we can get the registration, the early registration discount. And, oh, I ordered a new tent top for us, speaking of events. This
Yay.
one's it's gonna be royal blue, because that's our color, and it's gonna have our logo on it, so it'll be
Love
good.
it.
Yeah, our usual blue tent with the tails of Taneytown was a little gusty, so it blew it, flipped it, and like bent one of the frame legs, so I kind of bent it back a little bit, but I don't think it's gonna be long for this world, so we needed a new one anyway. and,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that'll be
Kept
coming in.
using everybody else's, I think, you know, hey, you
Yes,
gotta.
right. Well, it's
So, no,
still,
that's
it's still
helpful.
only a 10 by 10, so we'll still probably have, like, for the big ones, like the wine festival and stuff, we'll still have to use other tents.
Yeah, that's fine.
But at least for the events where we just use the one 10 by 10 tent, then we'll have this
Right.
one and it will have
Put
our-
it in
our
your
logo on
budget
it.
for next year to add an additional.
Right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, because of the fishing derby, we use 2.
Yes. Yeah. Budget year, just add, you know,
Yeah,
add a 10.
yeah, yeah.
Not that expensive, I don't think. Hopefully not, so.
Yeah, they're about 500 with the custom, with the
Okay.
logo on
Yeah.
it, you know, which is. And then I'll be attending the MML Parks and Rec Association meeting on January 24th, excuse me, in Annapolis. And then the library winter reading kickoff event on January 27th. So I'll have our table set up there with all of our event flyers and volunteer, you know, forms, all that kind of good stuff. Try to get the word out.
Fine. Okay.
And that is all I have on updates there. on all-
Okay. All right, so now we can talk about post-event discussions of
Yeah,
the holidays. All right, I'll throw it back at you.
okay. Well, I think that the candy cane hunt and the Christmas tree lighting went well despite the chilly temperatures. It was cold. I think the candy cane hunt went a little smoother this year with the 3 separate age groups. But I think next year, we'll just try to, I'm gonna make announcements to get everybody at their age group area before. And then make the announcement of, okay, this age group, that's your color, you know, candy cane that are the prize winners, and that age group, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And we'll also need more volunteers to kind of I don't want to say herd them, but to try to keep them in their age
Section.
area, their
Yeah, in their
section,
section.
right? Because again, this past year we had those kids that were, you know, the 7 to 9-year-olds or whatever were running over to the other, you know, and picking up candy canes that actually were supposed to be for the older ones.
It might be good just to, I think for any event like that, like also have the walkie-talkies that we've had.
Yes.
Just so we can communicate with each other because
Right.
nobody could hear when you said go
Right.
and we were down here.
That's a good idea because then,
I saw kids
right.
running and I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Right. Yeah.
And she might have said yes, but I mean, somebody
Right.
said, well, she said go. And
Right.
Okay, well, I didn't hear that. So if we could do that.
That's a good idea, yeah. So I think the best thing to do would be to, well, what do you guys think? Oh, go ahead,
You
Bill.
herd them, if you're going to herd them into their various areas, do that, and then just use an air horn, beep, and
That's what,
everybody goes.
I was just gonna say, I think if we let them all go
same
simultaneously
time.
at the same time, then they know, yes. That's good. We'll just break out one of the air horns that we use at the fishing derby and just, you know, blast it.
Yeah, walkie-talkies and air
Walkie-talkies
and
and,
air
okay,
horns.
you know,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, you get the kids in their group, and beep,
right.
let it all break loose.
Okay. But otherwise, I think it went well.
Everybody everybody seemed to be having a good time.
Right,
Either and before and during and after the
right,
hunt.
yeah. I mean, the attendance wasn't as high as last year, but I think that's because it was just so darn cold.
Cold, yeah.
It was cold, yeah.
It was.
I wouldn't want to take my little ones out in that. I didn't even want to be there. I mean, it's so cold. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
I
I
left
was
early.
bundled up, yeah.
I mean,
I
were
had
we
like 5 layers
satisfied with
on.
the time between the hunt and Santa coming?
I think
We were
so.
good with that, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. That's,
Once.
you're right. So do we, the only thing is I don't want to push it too far because then it starts to get dark. So if we push it to 5, and then of course it's over in 15 minutes, if that, between 5 and 5:15, that should be okay. Is that light
What
enough?
time did we do it?
We had 4:30, but if we're doing all 3 groups at the same time, it's going
Are
to
we
be over
gonna do
like
it at
that.
the same time?
Yeah.
Well, how about, but see, I had parents that just said, I want to make sure because I have multiple children. I
Oh, yeah.
see my kids.
Ugh.
So that's another thought too.
Yeah, I get it, but the
That
problem
is.
is you can't keep them out of the other sections, like, I mean, very specific, and we had, there was a lot of boundary in between the sections. The other problem was where we do the registration, you had this big group of kids there, and like hunting that area, like they're in the way, so like it's like you have to get everybody out of the way and into their own areas. And have a kid here and here, and you can't fix every problem. Like,
Right.
I
Well-
think the easiest, even if somebody has multiple children, the parent is going to stay with the youngest, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you break the groups out and have them all go at one time, that 15-minute shot, you're done. And while you're giving out the prizes for the special canes and all that, here comes Santa Claus, ho, ho, ho. Run it.
But I do think that's a valid point of, it's one thing if you've got multiple, if you've got both parents there, or family members, a grandmother, whatever, then, dad can go with the older one at that section while mom stays with the younger one, whatever.
the only
There's
way
only
that-
one parent.
The only way that
one
you could
family
do it, you'd have to break them out into the groups and announce that you're gonna go one at a time.
Right.
Then you're gonna have to have a line of volunteers
Yes.
as far as the boundary. And then when that group is done, then you move the volunteers to the next boundary. Like, you can't just say the tree's the boundary, because they're just gonna run past the
Right,
tree.
exactly. We definitely need volunteers to keep
So-
them in their
Section,
hunting
And
section,
I think
right?
we did it pretty well this time as far as like having,
Yeah.
the area that they were in, it was, each one was secluded, like they weren't like right back to back.
Right,
So, but yeah, like you're gonna have to have everybody that's there helping, like, down this row and down this row, like, around the boundary, and let that group go if you wanna solve that problem as far as letting the parents be able to see each age group if they have multiple kids.
well, yeah. Well, and that's another good usage of the walkie-talkies, because if I'm up there at the gazebo with the microphone, everybody's in position, I've got the walkie-talkie, let's say Kelly's with the 7 to 9-year-old group or whatever. Obviously, the younger group up near the gazebo, they're fine, don't really need to worry, so much about them. But if we do it with a staggered start, like we did this past year, so that parents can run between groups, then, like before I'd announce go on the 7 to 9-year-olds, I'd walkie-talkie you and say, okay, in 5 seconds, I'm gonna, say go. And then you could then relay that, okay, everybody, ready, set, okay, she said go, or whatever, and then other volunteers keeping them in the area. I mean, I love the simplicity of the air horn of, okay, get everybody in their areas, and then, do what you're gonna do, and then have at it, kind of thing, or whatever. With that,
I didn't, but again, I mean, I'll stick with it though, as a mom of, 3 kids. If I was by myself, I
Yeah.
couldn't,
right,
if it all
that's my
happened.
concern, yeah.
That's just me. I'm not saying that's for the
Kind
board.
of the other side, you know what I mean? I stay with my youngest, the other two can kind of go.
Yeah.
Go do their thing.
Up
Yeah.
here, I mean, I definitely understand, but
Yeah.
I kind of agree in terms of like trying to manage it because it is very tough. You know what I mean? If you try to have all these separate groups and everything. So I don't know. I think having everybody go at once could work. Obviously, you're going to have some things that you run into. You're not going to be able to please everyone, like Jerry said. One problem you can solve, then you're going to run into some other ones. So it's kind of
Yeah, right,
weighing
exactly.
which problem you want to, address,
Right,
and then kind of leave the other part for the participants to kind of figure out.
yeah. It's different for the Easter egg hunt because everybody's gonna get an egg, or whatever. No matter if they, foray into the other area or what have you. There's no prize, so to speak, to be gained from a particular Easter egg or something, so, no, so.
I'm going to put Councilwoman Fuller on the spot.
What are your
Hi.
thoughts?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it
And
came
what-
up or
how
not,
you
but
feel
somebody
like
had
it
said maxing out how many they can actually take,
Oh,
telling them you can't take more than 5, or,
ooh,
because then they're a little bit more particular. If they're searching for the one color, they're not going to be just grabbing all of them. I don't know. That was just something somebody had said at the event.
Problem with that is if let's just say it's 5, they're gonna pick up 4, and then they're all gonna be looking for that one.
right,
So then the rest of them are just gonna be laying on the ground as they
Right.
pick them up.
Unless somebody says, I found it, or whatever. Or my thought was, the guy said, well, my kids would probably pick up all 5, then run around. If they saw the other one, they'd be like, boop, and throw
yeah,
them behind.
right,
It'd be like-
exactly, that's true.
Right, there'd
That's
be no way
true.
to regulate that.
Yeah, that's tough.
But I mean, and again, I still
mean, I
always think
understand that,
having
too.
separate areas that are just very, very obviously designated.
Yeah.
And just saying.
You had
stay
kids
out.
probably with 15, and there were some kids that got like
Oh,
1,
yeah.
if that.
Well, there was a couple
So-
kids that came
so
up
I
and
get
their
that.
parents said they didn't get any. Yeah. And with that many candy canes, that's astounding.
Yeah.
Like, they should have gotten at least one. That was a lot.
I remember how many candy canes.
It was a lot.
I don't know how we could spread it out any further unless you're gonna put like one on field 4 and one on field 3, and
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
we're using a pretty big area as it is.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Not a bad idea though if you did want everything to be staggered, where like you kind of lead the groups, like you don't even necessarily tell them where their group's field is until this one's done, and then you make an announcement. Okay, now this group we're gonna transition.
Follow me and whatever
Everybody
volunteer
walks.
it is, yeah.
Might be a little bit more difficult in terms of the setup because you are much more spread out that way. But then you're not running into people running from this space into that space because you are much more,
That being said, too, is we have a lot of people that park in that other side, that other parking lot. We saw people walking before the event even started. They were walking up and grabbing the candy canes.
Yeah. And that's the problem. We're just not going to be able to prevent
We're
that.
not going to win. Yeah.
As,
All right, we're done.
I mean, I don't know how many times I made the announcement
know.
up there. Please do not pick up any candy canes until the hunt starts, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
All right, well, we'll get into it later on
Okay.
as the year progresses to kind of fine tune to see
Yeah.
what,
Like
Yeah.
you said, I know it's not as big of a deal with the Easter egg hunt, but we can kind of use it and maybe put some of the thoughts in place as far as dividing them out a little more. Like you said, it's not as big of a deal because they're not going to run and grab the prize or whatever.
Right.
At least we could kind of use it as a practice run for for
Right.
later.
Yeah.
that's true. We'll distribute the walkie-talkies and I think everybody's practiced on those from the past wine festivals.
Yeah. We're gonna need another golf cart.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Get some
that in the-
segues.
Can we put that, no, I'm kidding.
Dirt bikes. Oh, and also, this is a very good idea from DPW. Mr. Sewell, whether Sewell's Farm closes down for whatever reason or another, maybe we could get a nice live tree from him, from whatever's left, and plant that. Because once Sewell's Farm
That's it.
goes away,
Yeah.
then we don't have a source for donated big Christmas trees. So I don't know. I mean, it's tricky transplanting larger trees, but it'd be worth a shot to see if it'll take. And
They
that
would
way-
know.
Yes, yeah, right. So, so we're kind of tossing that around a little bit, just waiting to, we'll just
think
keep
it'd
our
be a
finger
great
on the
idea.
Sewell
Yeah.
pulse and see what happens with that. But if word comes that, okay, he's hanging up his hat and he's finished, then we'll ask him for a tree.
That would be great if we could work with them. to make that
Yeah,
happen.
because the one that's living there now that's growing, no, the needles are, it almost looks like a white pine. The needles are long and flimsy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's soft, it's beautiful, but it just does not hold, and it's tiny and slow growing. So if we could get a big spruce or something like that, that would be good. Yeah, we'll
We
see.
can make it work. We can do it.
Yeah, that's all I have on that
Okay.
event. Keep rolling?
Yeah, keep
Okay.
rolling.
The
Let's
holiday
do it.
decorating contest, and this went well, and thank you all for reviewing the entries and making your choices. I know it was tough, because there were some really nicely decorated houses out there, and special thanks to Judy, Kelly, and Mackenzie for driving around and taking the pictures. Appreciate that. I know our community likes this. They love seeing, the results posted. I had somebody email me and, oh, I didn't see the results, who won, kind of things. So, yeah, so they, they like these things, so it's good. And then budget considerations for fiscal year '26. Is there any particular improvement or project that you think should be considered or prioritized for this coming budget? I mean, I'm going to send you all, obviously, the draft budget. I need to sit down with Randy and Shane with DPW and get their input. They're the ones who are out there, the DPW crews, boots on the ground in the parks almost every day, saying things that might need to be fixed up, or they think of things that I don't, like sealant for the fence around the dog park, or the fence, the gates and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. We need sealant, stuff like that to treat those. So get their input. But if you think of anything that you'd like to see or improved or, whatever, then let me know. I haven't gotten the budget schedule yet. Just got the worksheet. Barry just emailed the worksheet to me today. So, so I'm not sure what the deadline is for turning that back in. First couple of weeks of February, but I think Jim and the mayor are still working on the schedule. But anyway, in the meantime, think about it. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see. Then
Plenty of projects going on, my goodness.
I think, knock on wood, I think we're in pretty good shape. I mean, honestly. Yes. In fact, that's actually factored into this
Oh, it isn't,
FY
okay, it's already in
'25.
there, okay.
Yes, yeah. I'm pretty sure we're probably just gonna have to go with earth and gravel as opposed to asphalt. Asphalt's gonna be more expensive for that stretch. So I think maybe at this point, we just go with, gravel, packed gravel on the bike track there at THS.
what is like besides money, like what's the drawback to putting?
Vandalism,
Well, that's anything you
Yeah.
put in.
right. I mean, it's unfortunate, but keeping them clean, who's doing that? That's gonna, I mean, DPW, they're busy enough as it is, without having to run around, and clean a restroom or, restrooms or what have you. And the vandalism, if the toilet or the sink leaks, is somebody gonna call, let us know? I mean, are we just gonna find out in one of our routine, like, weekly
I think a lot of other jurisdictions that do have bathrooms have wound up locking them now
Yes.
because of the.
My experience, when I was at Hampstead, there was a restroom, a vault restroom in one of the parks. And the door had, the vents, the vent frames or whatever. And we had to have a supply of those on hand because they'd be kicked in all the time, all the time. And we'd lock the restroom from, during the off-season or whatever, but it still wouldn't prevent that vent bit from being kicked in. Oh my gosh, one time they got in there and just completely wrecked it. Rocks thrown down into the toilet. They bent the sink up. Right. Yeah,
It's true, though. I mean,
is,
unfortunately, it's just
unfortunately.
the sign of the times, so. I mean, it would be a great addition. It would be wonderful, but
It's not just a
Our-
sign of the
Bill,
times.
right?
It's not just
It's
a
gonna have
sign of
one?
the times either.
At the expansion, that large building is going to have
It's going to have a
restroom
restroom,
in it?
but
I mean, just as
that's,
far as like the athletic,
yes.
events, maybe that's a test that we could have kind of to just see if they only open it during certain events or games
well,
or
it's my
handicap use
understanding-
only or
I think it's going to be athletic use,
just them only.
just them, right? People who are using that
not
building.
open to the public.
I mean, because I know obviously the football building has a bathroom in it.
Yes.
The athletic use.
So what if let's say you did put in a bathroom, okay, and you still kept some spotter pots in the park, and the bathroom like was not open like 24 hours a day. It was only open when you have the wine festival and you have all these people here and we're all there working it, or for like when the park's busy on a Saturday with baseball games or soccer games or whatever, and then it's locked when the sports, people, and it's not open all evening or all overnight. There's still a few spotter pots if somebody's in the park and they need to go, they can use it. But you at least would have nice facility when you have like guests in the park, like coming to an event or something of that nature. Yes, you're still going to have some upkeep and it's going to have to be comes around and cleans them, whereas we'd have to have somebody on staff do it.
Right.
But it would eliminate the vandalizing to an extent. Like, I mean, I guess somebody could still be a jerk during the event, but most of the vandalizing probably happens at night or, whatever, when people aren't around.
Well, the only problem with that is who's going to be responsible for locking it up and opening it up? Who's going to have access to keys or a key code or something or other? It's not something that really can be timed because, well, I mean, maybe it could.
Well, and they
But
have,
if it locks automatically and somebody's in there, they can still get out.
right, they just can't get in.
Back in, yeah. I don't know.
Well, I mean, obviously, like you would have one, you're going to be there unlock it when you get there and lock it before we leave. And then for sports, I mean, it wouldn't be any different like than all the sheds and everything. They have a punch code, just like the president, baseball. Like if it's down in that area, on Saturday they open it up just as if they would open up their snack shack or whatever, and then
Right.
just the last shift of the day closes it up. I mean, you wouldn't have to have, people from the town do it. Like,
Right.
unless it's a town event going on, then,
Right. I mean, the biggest factor to consider is the cost. It is very cost prohibitive. Not to mention, got to go through all the health department permitting process, all that kind of good stuff or what have you. And then just the maintenance.
it's just the biggest complaint that I hear.
I know.
Because it's like all our parks are so beautiful and nice and upkept, and then it's like,
Porta pots, right.
and it's like, there's a lot of parks that people go to where they're not nearly as nice as our park, like in overall, but they'll have like a regular bathroom.
Right.
there,
Yeah.
It's like, so it's,
I know.
I would think if there was any kind of a grant that would go towards something like that, I just, having been on the baseball board many, many years ago, that even then was still the biggest complaint was because there was a lot of grandparents that couldn't come to the games because the porta potties were just not something that they could use. And where that snack shack is, having running water, we had always talked about that would have been a possible place to put it, just because the water was already there. It could have been added on or placed close by.
wasn't the building beside it some kind of bathroom at one point?
That's the pump house, I think.
Yeah, that's the well
That's the
house.
regular pump house for the wells. But, I mean,
Right.
but that being said, I mean, having been on the travel trail with, for travel ball too, there's a lot of really cool, newer, trouble-proof, facilities that are out there. And a lot of them said that, like they weren't as expensive as they thought they would be. And that working with the athletic programs, like they would only open them for tournaments, not every day, or they would only do this. And then there was a person who was kind of in charge of just making sure everything looked good before they left. And all you have to do is like hose the whole the whole room down when you're done. Like that was cleaning.
Yeah.
They were like, everything was so, water resistant. You just spray it all down and you're done. But it is something that's been on the radar, I think, for many, 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 many years. Somewhere.
I mean, definitely something to think about, but I do, I'm the girl that goes there with the vandalism.
Yeah.
And
No, no.
I know there's a lot of parks out there that do have facilities and they're locked and nobody uses them because of those issues. But I get it. That is the main complaint, for sure. No?
This is not a new problem.
Right.
But it could have a new
50 years
solution
ago.
if we can figure something out.
Well, no, it's
I'm
not, it's
gonna
not a
go
new,
way back.
it's not a new problem, but we're doing all this other stuff and she's asking
Yeah.
for requests, so I'm saying can we put that in the budget
Yeah.
or think about it
Look at
now
it.
because we've done all this other stuff? Building, we're getting ready to put all these new fields in, there's gonna be that many more people in that park, like,
Additional things to think about for fiscal year 26?
Indoor recreational facility.
Right, yeah, really.
I knew you would go with
coming
that
at ya.
one, right?
Well, I know.
Oh, we're gonna go real high, right?
I know
In
the
hopes.
city put out a survey a couple months back, and I went pretty hard on my response for that. And I didn't know if there was any ever report on the findings of that survey or
Yes.
not.
Yeah, Arrow they gave a presentation at
Zoning?
Council or Planning Commission.
Planning
I think it was
Commission.
planning, the last one. They didn't hold one in December,
And
so I
they're
guess
still,
November.
yeah, they're still working on it.
Preliminary, yeah, there were some preliminary results that were announced, and yeah, a community center and pool was like almost at the top of the list there, yeah, that kind of thing. Traffic was like a major, concern. They wanted better bypass or something like that, but overall, I believe the results came back in that that we're doing pretty good in the parks, that people are loving the parks and the events and all of that kind of stuff. So that's good. We've got that down, but yeah,
He's like, yeah,
Tough hearing cheer
I
year after
know.
year.
it's very sad.
And, we don't hear from any basketball typically.
I know.
And I know that they typically are facing the same problem. And
Right.
that, cheer has to go. I mean, where are they going to Hanover? They said?
Yeah, they're
Like, out
renting
of
space
state,
in Hanover. I know.
To go
Yes.
rent some space. So,
Yeah.
just obviously that's a very large consideration.
Right. Well, luckily, yeah, the new building on the expansion project will accommodate cheer.
Sure.
So we're good with that. They'll be all right. Basketball, I wouldn't even know where to begin to try to find a place for them. We need like a Y or a copper mine or somebody to come in and
Right.
independently
Or a
construct
farm.
and run, you
Or
know.
a big farm that's
Yeah.
getting ready to, that's got a big barn and be like, I mean, that's what they did in New Windsor, right? What was that place? It's still open. Cybels, yeah. Something like that. I mean, that worked out well, sure, for lots of kids, so.
Has there ever been any consideration to like commercial space available in shopping centers or things like that, like over where like Taneytown Liquors is and things like that, or the
I think
liquor
the
barn?
shopping
liquor barn,
center
yeah.
portion of that for rental is gonna be super high. That's what I'm
That's what
saying, if we
I've
could
heard,
find
at
somebody
least.
with a, yeah.
And just having spoken to a lot of cities, municipalities, and even some in other states, governments can't run rec centers and have them be profitable, not even profitable, break even.
Gosh.
They don't break even. So unless they have like a regular donation that they can count on,
Yeah.
most of them don't even, like, and it's sad the amount that I've heard, that they had this great rec center, and then the money ran out, and then they had to close it, and now they've got all these people that are even doubly pissed because they had a thing, and then it went away. I mean, kind of like the pool. We had a pool,
Right.
and it couldn't be sustained. So unless really the only ideal way to do it is to get some kind of an outside source.
Right.
I mean, that's the only way you're gonna have something that's gonna succeed, and they're gonna have to make money somehow.
Right.
So, I mean, even if there was programs that could be, helped along by us for lower income or whatever, I think that would probably be the only way that we could.
But I think
even
as
marginally
we
get
add
involved.
to our parks, I mean, we've talked about that too. I mean, what led to the end of the pool was the maintenance on it. Like, you build it, you have to maintain it. And that's the same thing with our parks. As we're bringing more parks on, we have to continue with maintenance on that. And that's not getting any
Yeah.
cheaper. So we also have to balance that out too. So anything that we see in the future to build, we also have to make sure we have that money too, to make sure we continue maintaining that as well. So we don't have, we had it, now we don't.
Right.
And I
So-
know one of the, like, a lot of the conversations that I've had with different ones that have been a part of the basketball program, what they've always said is that they don't need like a big facility where, they can host like high school age kids games. What they need is somewhere that they can take like the little kids, just to get the little kids out of the way of the other places. You know what I mean? Like, cause when you have like the really little kids, you don't need a full court and all that. Like they just need places where they can take and basically just get, so they can get their time but the other, the bigger courts could be used for like, the bigger kids that need more space. First started talking about putting this building up, Jay Wance had said about like, is there any way to get like a half a court in there, just for that, just for the whatever they would be considered, 5-year-olds, or like when they first
Yeah, sure,
Like,
sure.
yeah, it's T-ball for baseball. Like, I
Right,
don't know
yeah.
what it is for
Yeah.
in basketball, but like,
Little dribblers?
yeah,
Sorry.
but like, but yeah, because like on a half court, you can get like, you could get a couple teams of the smaller kids, and that frees up a couple spaces, and at multiple time slots, multiple days, that gets everybody an extra practice or whatever every week. That's really, they said, like, as big of a problem as it's been, just something like that would be a big help. It's just never been able to be done. Like, never been somewhere where we could just get, a half a
Right.
court that's inside.
Yeah.
Building is gonna have a room for cheer. You could get half-size court inside of that building.
Good, the ceilings are gonna be high enough. Now, I don't know, I know that Cheer wants to put in, they're gonna fundraise and they wanna put in a springboard floor, in there. Would that impact basketball then?
I don't think so for the little kids, because I know that one, not the one place that you're talking about in New Windsor, but that other one that was up the street from there. That was like a rubber floor or something in there. They were able, like, it was the same idea. I mean, it was a full court, or it had a basket, hoop on each end. Regulation, but it had, and you could practice in there. You could do drills and stuff. That's definitely an idea. Like, and for the younger kids, they don't need like the 10-foot hoops or any of that stuff.
No,
Like, you can, I
for
think they
little
do like
kids,
8
you
foot.
want adjustable,
Right.
Right.
like the ones you put in your driveway. They go from 6 to 10 feet. So for the little kids, you're only gonna want a 6-foot or an 8-foot hoop.
So that springboard floor.
I don't know what a
that's
springboard,
not-
I have no idea what a
that's- you
springboard
can't-
floor is.
Yeah.
So
that
then
stays.
why would we consider that? Because then that just makes it cheer space. I mean, I'm saying to
But
make
that was supposed to be a multi-use.
a multi.
Right, yeah.
So we also have to look at that. 'cause
Right. I
we
mean,
can't
it's
just
still,
say
the
that's
floor,
che-
yeah, it's not gonna be just, that's Cheer's room and nobody else can use it. I mean,
But
from
what
what
if
I
somebody destroys
understand,
that
the
floor that they
floor is still gonna be traversable, and usable. I just didn't know as far as like, how springy is it? Like if you hit, a
I
basketball, is
don't
it just
think
gonna
it's
be like,
that. I don't think it's
and
that
it's not gonna
springy.
bounce back
I don't
up?
think
Or
it's
it might
that
bounce.
springy.
Right, really.
Like a
Yeah,
super ball.
exactly. Right, woo,
Yeah,
yeah. Right, yeah, really,
that would be
Yeah.
super cool.
That would be funny.
yeah.
I got a
Watch
5-year-old
them go. Woo.
5-year-old jamming on an 8-foot
Yeah,
hoop.
that'll make them feel good.
So that is a possibility. I mean, I'd like to hear from basketball.
I know that, like, I mean, I don't know who is like the head of it
I
anymore.
think is it Jeff Eves or was
Possibly,
was
yeah.
it Jeff
Jeff,
Lee
back
and
in the day.
yeah, and then Eves I think was the last. Yeah, Jeff Eves was the
And-
last person that I have as the
Say they
contact.
attend like the West Carroll stuff, or they always have.
Do
They
they?
stopped coming to the TAA stuff a long time ago because there just wasn't
Right.
anything that
Oh,
TAA
so-
could
right.
offer.
They're not using any. They can't
Correct.
use any facilities. We don't have any facilities for them. So
All right, basketball wrap. Please contact Lorena.
yeah.
Just to have a conversation, at least to find out what the needs are and
Right.
what could happen. I mean, if we're gonna make it a multi-purpose function, let's try to make it a multi-purpose.
But I knew you said they were gonna have high ceilings so they could flip and stuff in there.
Yeah.
So,
Any additional
That's all. I have.
besides the indoor facility and a pool and
No pool.
and bathrooms? Okay,
They'll draw a line.
Yeah.
all right. So I'll go down the list. Mr. Harvey, do you have any updates for us? You good?
No updates.
Kennedy, anything?
No more comments.
No more comments. Okay. Fuller, do you have any updates from council?
No, we have enough problems in the city. We'll just leave the parks out of it.
Oh, dear.
You guys are the only ones succeeding, so.
All right, okay. Well, I guess we'll take that.
We will call that a win. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right.
Obviously, we have no public comment. So it looks like, based off of my schedule, our next meeting date is going to be scheduled for February 12th. That'll be 6:30 here. If that is it, then I will take a motion to adjourn. Up all night. No.
Talking about the indoor recreational. No.
Yes, yes, we will.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a
I
second?
will second.
All right, all in favor of motion to adjourn until February 12th, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, that's a wrap. We will see you next month. Thank you.